Alright, listen up, because this one's different. You've seen 100 AI hype videos, 1,000 next 100x altcoins, but this one's where the real money hides. The AI gold rush is here, and everybody's chasing GPUs, tokens, and Elon's late-night tweets. But nobody's paying attention to the thing that's actually running the show: storage. Yeah, I'm talking about where all this AI data lives. Because without storage, AI dies. And right now, two giants are stepping into the ring: Filecoin versus Arweave, and only one of them is going to walk out with the crown. See, here's what most people don't realize. Every single time AI gets smarter, it gets heavier. It's eating data like a beast: petabytes, exabytes, zettabytes. Every new chat GPT model, every AI art generator, every autonomous car, they're all flooding the internet with mountains of data that have to live somewhere. You think that data just floats around? Nah, man, it needs a home. A permanent, secure, scalable home. And the world's biggest fight, the one nobody's talking about, is happening right here, in the shadows, between Filecoin and Arweave. And only one of them is going to walk out with the crown. See, here's what most people don't realize. Every single time AI gets smarter, it gets heavier. It's eating data like a beast: petabytes, exabytes, zettabytes. Every new chat GPT model, every AI art generator, every autonomous car, they're all flooding the internet with mountains of data that have to live somewhere. You think that data just floats around? Nah, man, it needs a home. A permanent, secure, scalable home. And the world's biggest fight, the one nobody's talking about, is happening right here in the shadows between Filecoin and Arweave. Now, imagine this. AI is the new gold. GPUs are the pickaxes. But Filecoin and Arweave, they're the land, the ground under the entire operation. And just like in the 1800s, it ain't the gold diggers who got rich, it was the ones who owned the land they were digging on. That's why this battle matters more than any meme coin, more than any narrative pump, because whichever project wins the storage war will literally control the memory of AI itself. And here's the thing, the numbers are insane. OpenAI alone is processing over 45 terabytes of data per day. Anthropic, Google DeepMind, xAI, they're all scaling to levels that no centralized system can handle long term. We're talking about billions of dollars in data storage every single year. Traditional servers? Too expensive, too slow, too centralized. That's why decentralized storage is quietly becoming the foundation layer of the next internet. But let me drop this on you. This isn't about storage anymore. It's about control. Because in a world where AI writes news, edits history, and generates reality, whoever controls the data controls the truth. Think about that. Filecoin comes in like a monster, backed by protocol labs, running a massive decentralized network with thousands of nodes across the world. It's not just storing data, it's building an infrastructure for every future AI company to plug into. Filecoin is the Amazon Web Services of Web3, the backbone, scalable, flexible, and ready to handle enterprise-level demand. Then you've got Arweave, the quiet assassin. It's not going for capacity, it's going for permanence. Once data is stored on Arweave, it's there forever, immutable, permanent, no censorship, no deletion, no manipulation. Sounds small, but it's massive. Because what happens when the world starts asking, what's real? And only one network has the original proof. That's Arweave's game. It's building a permanent archive for human truth. Now tell me, which one do you think AI will rely on more? The scalable infrastructure of Filecoin or the eternal memory of Arweave? That's the billion-dollar question. And here's where the FOMO kicks in. While retail traders chase whatever's trending on X or TikTok, institutions are already watching this war closely, because the ones who win storage win everything. And let's be real, this isn't some short-term play. This is about the next decade of AI infrastructure.
You're watching the foundations of the new internet being laid right now. The same way early investors saw the rise of Amazon Web Services in 2006 and nobody cared, that's exactly what's happening again. Filecoin and Arweave are quietly building empires while everyone else argues over meme coins. The crazy part is, nobody's ready for how fast this is moving. The AI boom isn't slowing down, it's compounding. Every model, every dataset, every upgrade doubles the storage demand. And these networks are scaling at a pace that central systems can't touch long term. Governments will need it. Enterprises will need it. Hell, even your AI-powered fridge one day will depend on it. And when that happens, it won't matter which influencer pumped what. The only question will be, who owns the memory of the AI world? That's why you can't sleep on this. Because the moment the mainstream realizes that the real war isn't in AI creation, it's in AI preservation, it'll already be too late. The early movers will be gone. The whales will be in. The rest will just be chasing the pump, wondering why they missed the signal sitting right in front of them. So yeah, the AI gold rush is here. Everyone's shouting about compute and models and neural nets. But behind all that noise, two decentralized titans are battling for something way bigger, the right to hold humanity's digital memory. And the crazy part? One of them is already starting to win, not because of hype, but because of something deeper, something that goes beyond tech. Because what's coming next isn't just about performance or partnerships, it's about truth. And trust me, once you understand how truth is being stored, you'll realize this war has barely even started. Next, we go even deeper. Because this fight, it's not just about who stores the data, it's about who decides what stays forever.
Yo, real talk. Have you ever stopped to think what happens when data can't be deleted? Like, who controls history at that point? Because once something's permanent, it becomes power. That's exactly what's happening right now, and hardly anyone's paying attention. Filecoin and Arweave aren't just two crypto projects, they're literally rewriting how the internet remembers. Yeah, sounds wild, right? But once you get it, you can't unsee it. Here's the thing. We live in a world where every second someone's rewriting the narrative. Tweets disappear, articles get edited, governments censor, companies update the facts. Truth has become flexible. And in that chaos, these two decentralized storage giants are saying, nah, we're locking history down. Think about how crazy that is. For the first time ever, truth itself is leaving the hands of corporations and moving into open code. Now let's break it down so it hits home. Filecoin, it's the builder, the heavy lifter. It's creating this massive decentralized cloud that scales infinitely. Think of it like AWS, but open source and borderless. It's all about capacity. Filecoin is where the internet's living, breathing data goes. Videos, AI models, files, apps. It's the infrastructure, the pipes, the muscle. But Arweave, that's the vault. It's permanence. Once something goes on Arweave, it's locked forever. No edits, no deletions, no corporate, oops, we lost it. It's there, permanently, in a global ledger that can't be altered. Now imagine that power in an AI-driven world, where 90% of what we see could be synthetic, filtered, or straight-up fake. You scroll through your feed and can't tell what's real anymore. Deepfakes, edited data, AI-generated everything. In that kind of world, permanence becomes the most valuable asset on Earth. Filecoin builds the cloud. Arweave builds the archive. Filecoin handles the future. Arweave protects the past. Both are essential, but together they form something way bigger, the foundation of decentralized truth. Let that sink in. We're not talking about storage anymore. We're talking about control. Because whoever controls the world's permanent data owns the memory of humanity. And that's not an exaggeration. Think about the Library of Alexandria, but on blockchain. Only this time it can't burn down. Every piece of data stored forever, beyond governments, beyond corporations, beyond manipulation. That's the level we're entering. And here's where it gets emotional. Imagine 20 years from now.
Your kid asks, what was real during the AI revolution? Will you have an answer? Because right now, truth is dissolving. Everything's editable, everything's filtered. But these two networks, they're saying, we'll keep it real, forever. That's bigger than tech. That's legacy. Filecoin's doing it with muscle. Data centers across continents, an open market for storage providers, huge scalability. You've got companies and researchers plugging into it because it's cheaper, faster, and free from centralized control. Arweave, on the other hand, is taking a totally different path. It's not about how much data, it's about what kind of data deserves to last forever. Arweave says history matters. Don't lose it, ever. That's not just smart, that's philosophical. It's digital immortality. But let's not pretend this is just idealism. There's massive money lurking behind this too. Data is the new oil, and permanent data, that's refined gold. Governments, AI companies, research labs, they all need long-term storage that can't vanish or be tampered with. And when the pressure hits, when regulation, audits, and AI transparency become law, guess who they're coming to? Exactly, the decentralized truth networks. Filecoin and Arweave are setting themselves up to become the record keepers of the AI age. Here's the twist, though. This isn't a friendly partnership. It's a silent war. Two completely different visions fighting for dominance. Filecoin believes in a flexible, market-driven system. You store what you want, pay what you need. Arweave believes in permanence, a one-time cost, data there forever. Both are right, but only one model will scale globally first. And the moment one breaks through, the floodgates of capital are going to explode open. Now pause and really feel that. The world's truth, the world's history, the world's digital memory, moving from centralized servers to open, unstoppable networks. You can't delete it. You can't fake it. You can't rewrite it. That's the moment we cross from Web 2 illusion into Web 3 permanence. And that's where the FOMO gets real. Because most people watching this right now don't even realize they're witnessing the birth of the decentralized truth era. The same way early internet believers saw the rise of Google and Wikipedia and thought, cool projects, while those companies quietly built the backbone of modern information, that's exactly what's happening again. Only this time, it's permanent, immutable, eternal. So when people look back at this moment, at 2025, at this phase in the AI revolution, they'll realize that this was the turning point, the moment humanity decided not to let truth be deleted, the moment permanence became the ultimate currency. And here's where it gets even crazier. One of these two has already caught the eye of big money. I'm talking serious capital, venture funds, data alliances, corporate pilots, the kind of backing that can flip the entire narrative overnight. Because once those players step in, it won't just be about tech anymore. It'll be about dominance. You feel that? That's the calm before the storm, because the fight for decentralized truth is just getting started. And the one who's getting those big money calls, that's the one who might own the future. Next, we follow the money, because the second you see who's funding what, everything starts to make sense.
All right, let's cut the noise for a second. Because this part right here separates the talkers from the earners. Everyone online screaming about narratives, charts, and hype, but the real ones? They're not talking. They're watching where the smart money is moving. Because while retail investors are chasing the next shiny thing on Twitter, whales are already setting the board. And right now, those whales are circling around something massive, a quiet accumulation happening under everyone's radar between Filecoin and Arweave. You ever notice how the big moves always happen before the news breaks? It's not an accident. By the time the average trader hears about a partnership, a fund announcement, or a narrative pump, the institutions are already in. They've already positioned, and they're already waiting for you to FOMO in so they can exit clean. That's how this game's always been played. It happened with Bitcoin at $3,000, with Ethereum under $100, and it's happening again, right here, right now, in the decentralized storage war. See, the narrative you're hearing online is AI plus DePIN plus storage.
But the narrative that's actually making money, that's called early positioning. And guess who's positioning? Not influencers, not retail. I'm talking about the smart money. Grayscale, A16Z, Pantera, Coinbase Ventures. The quiet giants of crypto capital. They don't buy the hype. They buy infrastructure. They buy the stuff that makes the hype possible. And storage, permanent, decentralized, AI-grade storage, that's the next infrastructure play of the decade. Let's look at the footprints. Filecoin's ecosystem has seen steady institutional inflows for months. Protocol Labs, the team behind Filecoin, has been aligning itself with data economy players and DePIN projects. FIL tokens are being staked and locked in custody wallets that don't belong to small traders. These are cold moves, long-term bets. That's how smart money works. They buy when it's quiet, when nobody cares, when it looks boring. And then there's Arweave. While it doesn't have the same market cap muscle, it's got something the whales love, a unique value proposition. Permanent data storage, no renewals, no risk of deletion. It's the blockchain version of digital immortality. Institutions love asymmetric plays, the ones that can 10x with the right narrative. And when you combine that with the rise of AI and data transparency regulations coming in 2026, it's not hard to see why Arweave is quietly catching eyes. Here's where it gets wild. There's on-chain evidence showing accumulation spikes around both tokens whenever AI-related news trends. It's like the whales have bots monitoring AI headlines, waiting for sentiment to dip and scooping up positions. No emotion, no hype, just data-driven precision. That's how they move. They're not aping in, they're layering in. They build quietly, accumulate slowly, and when retail finally wakes up, they're already sitting on bags 10x bigger than yours. Now here's the emotional punch. Most people watching this think they're early. They think because they've seen a few YouTube videos or bought a small bag of FIL or AR, they're ahead of the curve. But the truth is, you're not early until the whales show up. And guess what? They already did. They just didn't tell you. Because that's how power moves. Silent, strategic, calculated. And if you think this is just crypto hype, look at the patterns. The last time we saw this kind of slow, coordinated accumulation across multiple institutional wallets was during the early Bitcoin ETF talks. Everyone laughed it off then too. It's just noise, they said. And then, bang, 3K became 30K, and the whole game changed overnight. The same setup is playing out now, only this time, the battlefield is storage. Because think about it, AI doesn't just need compute. It needs somewhere to store the insane amount of data it's generating. Centralized systems are choking. Costs are exploding. Regulations are tightening. Governments are demanding transparency. And out of nowhere, decentralized storage looks like the golden ticket. That's what the whales see. They don't care about memes or community drama. They care about scalability, necessity, and inevitability. And here's the kicker. Institutional capital always moves where the next monopoly is forming. Filecoin's DePIN infrastructure is setting up like AWS 2.0. Arweave's permanent ledger is building a decentralized internet archive. One scales, the other preserves. Both are essential, both are investable, but only one will dominate. And that's the question the smart money's already trying to answer before anyone else catches on. Now, picture this. A couple of months from now, mainstream headlines start reading, AI data crisis, big tech turns to decentralized storage, Filecoin partnerships announced, or Arweave becomes the AI memory standard. The moment that happens, the public FOMO begins. The crowd will rush in, and guess who they'll be buying from? The same wallets that we're loading up right now, while you were still watching this video. You can literally feel the setup building. Low prices, silent accumulation, growing institutional noise, AI explosion incoming. It's all there. You just have to stop scrolling and see the pattern for what it is. A once-in-a-cycle asymmetric opportunity. The kind that doesn't announce itself, it whispers. And right now, it's whispering through whale wallets, data analytics, and insider partnerships. So yeah, everyone can talk tech, but the real move, the smart move, is following the money. Because cash doesn't lie, it leaves tracks. And if you follow those tracks, they lead straight into the heart of the next big narrative shift. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, that it's all about money, power, and positioning, there's one more twist. Something coming that could flip this entire story on its head. Because what happens next isn't just about who's funding the future, it's about who owns it.
All right, let's get real for a second. Everybody in crypto loves to talk big. They drop buzzwords like AI ready, scalable, decentralized, all that Silicon Valley smoke. But when it's time to actually deliver at scale, when millions of AI models start pumping terabytes of data every second, all that talk doesn't mean a damn thing. Because in the real world, tech either performs or it dies. And between Filecoin and Arweave, only one of them has the architecture to survive that kind of pressure. Now here's where most people get it wrong. They think both projects are doing the same thing. But no, not even close. Filecoin and Arweave aren't rivals in name, they're rivals in purpose. Filecoin's like AWS on-chain, designed to handle massive live data storage. Flexible, scalable, multi-layered. Arweave, on the other hand, is like a decentralized Wikipedia. It doesn't move data around, it preserves it forever. One's built for speed and scale, the other's built for permanence and proof. Both sound good, until you realize AI doesn't need just storage, it needs motion. Because AI is hungry. It's not static, it's dynamic. Every second, it generates, consumes, and modifies petabytes of data. It's not about saving files, it's about feeding algorithms. Think of AI like a living organism. It doesn't want a vault, it wants a bloodstream. And that's where Filecoin has the edge. Its deep-in infrastructure allows data to move fluidly across nodes, adapting to workloads, optimizing latency, distributing resources on demand. It's like building the nervous system of the decentralized internet. Arweave, it's brilliant in a different way. It's the eternal archive, a digital fossil record. Once data is written, it's there forever. That's gold for transparency, history, and censorship resistance. But for AI workloads, which need constant updates, versioning, and flexibility, permanence becomes a bottleneck. Imagine trying to train an AI model where every small correction gets written permanently. You'd end up with chaos. That's where the technical philosophies split wide open. Now here's the crazy part. Both projects know this. Filecoin's devs are doubling down on scalability, integrating compute layers and connecting with AI pipelines directly. They're turning decentralized storage into something usable for machine learning at scale. Meanwhile, Arweave is focusing on permanence for provenance, a fancy way of saying truth storage. The idea is that in an AI-driven world full of deepfakes and synthetic media, somebody's got to hold the receipts. That's Arweave's mission, be the proof layer of the internet. So yeah, Filecoin might feed the AI, but Arweave might preserve its conscience. Two sides of the same revolution. And let's be honest, the emotional pull here is massive. Filecoin is betting on scale, a world run by data throughput and speed. Arweave is betting on trust, a world drowning in misinformation. It's speed versus integrity, flexibility versus permanence, compute versus memory. And that tension, that's what makes this moment electric. Because in every tech revolution, one side builds the infrastructure and the other defines its legacy. Now let's put this into perspective. Imagine you're a developer in 2026. You're building an AI-driven healthcare platform that processes live patient data and stores medical histories securely. Who do you pick? Filecoin, because you need live data streaming, encryption, scalability, compliance. But then you need to prove that records weren't tampered with. That's where Arweave comes in. Together they form the ultimate balance. One runs the system, the other preserves the truth. And here's the part that hits. Most retail investors don't even realize that both projects are evolving toward convergence. Filecoin is adding permanence through secondary layers. Arweave is exploring retrieval improvements and indexing. It's like two titans unknowingly walking toward the same finish line from opposite directions. But here's the twist. Only one of them is aligning with big tech and government infrastructure deals right now. And that's where the next power play unfolds. Because make no mistake, the moment AI storage becomes a national security topic, every government, every megacorp, and every cloud provider will have to pick a side. They'll choose between speed or permanence, between open markets or immutable archives. And the one they choose will shape the next decade of data sovereignty. That's why this isn't just a tech race, it's a survival test. Filecoin's building highways for data, Arweave is building monuments for truth, and in an AI-dominated future, only one approach can dominate the mainstream. Will it be the scalable giant that feeds the machines, or the immutable historian that guards humanity's memories? Because that's what it all comes down to. Not who's trending, not who's louder, but who's built to carry the weight of the AI era without breaking. The architecture doesn't lie. The code doesn't fake strength. One is ready for motion, the other was born for memory. But the real question is, which one will the world choose when the governments and tech giants finally make their move? Because that moment, when they choose sides, it won't just decide the winner of the storage war. It'll decide who owns the future of data itself.
All right, let's keep it 100. Nobody's talking about what's really going on behind the scenes. Everyone's hyped about AI models, GPUs, tokens, and airdrops. But big tech, they're playing a completely different game. While retail's busy chasing meme coins, Silicon Valley's been forming quiet alliances. And one of these two storage giants, Filecoin or Arweave, is already plugged directly into the AI ecosystem. Yeah, it's happening right under everyone's nose, and most people have no clue. Here's the truth. Big tech doesn't move loud. They move strategic. You don't hear about these partnerships until they're already baked into the system. And if you start connecting the dots right now, you'll see what I mean. Protocol Labs, the creators of Filecoin, have been building bridges with NVIDIA's AI infrastructure projects, integrating with decentralized compute layers and quietly positioning themselves as the backbone for scalable, verifiable AI storage. That's not just some DeFi gimmick, that's infrastructure-level integration. And the deeper you dig, the more you realize Filecoin's not trying to compete with Web3, it's trying to merge with Web2 and AI at the same time. Now let that sink in for a second, because when big tech starts leaning into a crypto project, they don't announce it with fireworks. They move silently, testing integrations, spinning up research partnerships, onboarding startups through grants and incubators. Filecoin's ecosystem has been tying into research at major universities, distributed storage pilots with enterprise-scale partners, and even open collaborations through IPFS that feed directly into data-heavy AI workflows. If you're running large language models or generative AI systems, there's a good chance your dev stack is already touching something built by the Filecoin ecosystem. And here's where it gets wild. While Filecoin's building that enterprise infrastructure, Arweave's carving its niche with permanence. You've probably heard about the permaweb, right? That's Arweave's biggest play, a forever layer of the internet, already being used by decentralized social platforms, NFT archives, and even independent AI labs that want to store training datasets permanently. Companies like Meta and OpenAI don't want to lose data. They need truth archives, model records, and unchangeable sources to fight deepfakes and disinformation. Arweave is literally becoming the memory bank of the AI age. So think about it. Filecoin is playing the speed and scalability game, and Arweave's playing the trust and permanence game. Two completely different roads, but both leading straight into big tech's next obsession, AI storage sovereignty. The power to own and verify your data, not just rent it from Amazon or Google. And that's exactly why both of these ecosystems are being courted right now.
You can see it in the partnerships. Protocol Labs working with decentralized compute networks like Akash and Render, both tied to GPU cloud expansion. You've got Filecoin's retrieval markets connecting with Web3 AI startups that need large-scale, decentralized access to model weights and training sets. On the flip side, Arweave's ecosystem has heavy hitters like Meta's Threads and Lens protocol experimenting with permanent data storage for user posts and metadata. Even Elon's companies have flirted with decentralized permanence models for archiving public records. And guess who's the top candidate for that tech? Yep, Arweave. And the emotional punch here is wild, because this isn't just tech, it's control. The company that wins AI storage controls what's remembered, what's erased, what's accessible. Filecoin's building the infrastructure that runs the AI machine, while Arweave's preserving the history that defines what's true. Both sides are essential, but one of them is already shaking hands with the giants that move markets. Now, let's get a little conspiratorial. Because when you start tracing where the money's flowing, it gets even more interesting. NVIDIA's push for decentralized compute, that's tailor-made for networks like Filecoin and Render. OpenAI's obsession with reliable, verifiable datasets, that's exactly what Arweave is designed for. And when you hear whispers about AI-ready data pipelines or permanent dataset infrastructure, you can bet these two projects are somewhere in the stack. And that's where the FOMO hits hard, because this isn't a pump narrative. This is the groundwork for the next era of the internet. The ones who recognize these alignments early, they're not just speculating, they're front-running history. You think FIL or AR are just coins? Nah, they're entry tickets to the infrastructure layer of AI itself. When OpenAI, Anthropic, and NVIDIA start integrating decentralized systems into their data pipelines, the upside isn't 10x, it's a whole new market cap paradigm. Now imagine this. One day you're training a generative AI model, and you have no idea that the data it's feeding on, the files it's accessing, are being pulled from decentralized networks like Filecoin or Arweave. You won't even see the connection, but it'll be there, silently powering the backbone of the AI ecosystem. The future isn't coming, it's already deployed. But here's where it gets even more intense, because alliances only tell half the story. The real game changer is regulation. Once governments start regulating AI storage and data sovereignty, that's when we'll see who actually survives. Because when that hammer drops, only one type of network will thrive, the one already integrated into legitimate enterprise infrastructure, compliant, scalable, and transparent enough to meet regulatory scrutiny. And that's what's coming next. The moment when data laws tighten, when AI models need verifiable storage layers, and when big tech is forced to pick sides. Because, let's be honest, this isn't more than Filecoin versus Arweave. This is big tech versus decentralization. And both these giants are trying to bridge that gap before it's too late. So yeah, while everyone's hyped about the next meme coin or airdrop, the smart money is watching this silent merger of AI and decentralized storage unfold. It's already happening. The question is, will you see it before the rest of the world does? Because in the next chapter, when regulation hits and the dust settles, one of these networks won't just be part of AI, it will become AI's memory itself. And that's when everything, and I mean everything, changes.
All right, let's call it. Enough with the hype, enough with the noise, enough with the endless crypto Twitter debates. After all the talk, all the partnerships, all the speculation, it's time to face the truth. Only one of these two, Filecoin or Arweave, has what it takes to actually dominate AI's future. Yeah, this isn't about who's trending this week or who's up 20% on the chart. This is about who's going to own the memory of the AI era. Because here's the real talk. Every revolution leaves a winner. The internet had its Google, cloud had its AWS, mobile had its Apple, and now the AI storage war, it's about to crown its king. But what makes this fight different is that both sides bring something essential. One builds the machine, the other preserves the truth. And in an era where AI decides what's real and what's fake, both of those roles are pure gold. Let's rewind for a second. Filecoin, The workhorse, the builder, the backbone. It didn't chase headlines, it built infrastructure. A decentralized network capable of storing massive datasets, scaling like crazy, and integrating with the compute power AI needs to breathe. Every node, every deal, every byte stored on Filecoin, it's part of a global grid that's literally feeding the next generation of intelligence. It's like the decentralized AWS of the new world. Then you've got Arweave, the eternal library, the digital vault that says, once it's written, it stays. It's not about speed or scale, it's about truth, transparency, and permanence. In a world where AI can rewrite history in seconds, Arweave becomes the one source that can't be rewritten. It's the digital memory of humanity, preserving everything from research papers to blockchain records forever. So yeah, Filecoin built the infrastructure and Arweave built the legacy. One keeps the world running, the other keeps the world honest. And that's where this story hits deep. Because in the age of artificial intelligence, those two things are more connected than ever. Think about it. Every AI model you've ever seen, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, it all runs on data. But data isn't just numbers, it's memory. It's the foundation of truth. And whoever controls that memory controls the future. Filecoin gives AI a body, the ability to store, access, and scale. Arweave gives AI a soul, the ability to remember without corruption. That's not just a metaphor, that's the architecture of tomorrow's intelligence. Now, let's be real. Most retail investors don't see this yet. They're looking at token prices, not tectonic shifts. But behind closed doors, big tech, institutional players, and even governments are watching this war closely, because once AI regulation drops, every major company will need a verifiable, secure, and transparent way to store model data, training sets, and historical records. That's when these two projects go from cool Web3 tech to core global infrastructure. And here's where the emotional weight really hits. We're living through a moment most people will only understand years from now. When the AI boom is studied in hindsight, they'll talk about GPUs, chips, compute power, but the real unsung hero will be storage. Not the kind of storage that rents you space for a price, but the kind that defines what exists and what doesn't. The kind that keeps humanity's digital footprint intact when the noise of AI drowns everything else out. That's why I keep saying the real gold isn't GPUs, it's storage. Everyone's out there mining compute cycles, but the ones quietly accumulating decentralized data infrastructure, they're holding the real power. Filecoin, with its live, scalable storage for AI workloads. Arweave, with its immutable, permanent data preservation. Together, they form the tool pillars of the decentralized future, motion and memory. One moves data, the other immortalizes it. But here's the twist. They can't both win equally. The markets won't allow it, adoption won't allow it, history won't allow it. One of them will dominate the mainstream, become the standard AI relies on, while the other stays in the shadows as the moral compass of the web. That's the nature of every technological era. Power always consolidates around the one that integrates deeper, scales faster, and wins trust earlier. So if you're watching this right now, you're still early enough to understand something most people miss. This isn't just a race between two crypto projects. This is a fight for the future architecture of digital consciousness. The choice between speed and permanence, scale and integrity, live data and eternal proof. Filecoin's story is about expansion, the infrastructure of a connected world where every AI, every app, every chain can plug in and scale. Arweave's story is about preservation, the conscience of the digital world, holding on to what's real as everything else gets rewritten. And in the end, both are needed. But only one will define the market, shape regulation, and capture institutional backing first. Because make no mistake, the day the first global AI framework officially runs on decentralized storage, the world changes. The narrative shifts from crypto experiment to core infrastructure. And that's when you'll realize this war wasn't about hype. It was about preparation.
Filecoin prepared for scalability, Arweave prepared for eternity. And now, as the AI boom hits its peak, both are standing at the edge of history, waiting for the world to pick a side. So here's the truth. No matter which camp you're in, understand this. The biggest power in the AI era won't be the companies making models. It'll be the ones storing the world's memory. That's the real frontier. That's where history gets written and remembered. So yeah, maybe the real winner of the AI storage wars isn't just the project that scales faster or stores deeper. Maybe it's the one that earns humanity's trust in an age where truth itself is on the line. Because when people look back at this AI boom years from now, they'll finally realize the real treasure wasn't compute, it was memory. The digital gold everyone ignored while chasing trends. Only one will power AI's memory. The question is, have you already picked your side?